We live in a golden age of self-development, and it's so easy for you to fall into the trap where you think, okay, I'm developing myself, but you get to that point where it has gone beyond self-development. It is now more like a comfort zone where you satisfy your need to feel good that you've done something by reading a book, watching a podcast, but you never actually implement any of the things you want to do. So this is the question I asked myself, and I'm going to ask you that same question. Are you actually being productive, or are you preparing to be productive? Because those two things might seem similar, but they are definitely not the same thing. Reading books, watching tutorials, saving notes, it feels like work. It feels like growth, but sometimes it's just stalling. And I know this because I've been there. I've lived there. I've built a castle there. They have named a street after me there. YouTube videos on everything, podcasts on everything, books on everything, courses on everything. You want to start a business, there's a video. You want to be a creative, there's a video. You want to start, an NGO, there's a video. You want to do this, there's a video. You want to learn how to cook, there's a video. You want to learn how to date, there's a video. You want to heal, grow, and level up, there's a guru waiting for you. You want to enter into the creative economy, there's a playlist for you. Here's the dangerous part. You can consume so much of self-development that it begins to replace action. You can feel productive without actually producing anything. Here's what you don't realize. That same dopamine it takes for you to actually implement and do is the same dopamine that is released when you learn, when you watch tutorials, when you go through courses and all of that. That same dopamine it takes for you to do is the same dopamine that is released in your brain. Your brain cannot separate learning from doing. So when you watch a YouTube video about something that you want to do, there's a dopamine released to your brain. When you watch a podcast, there's a dopamine released to your brain. When you read books, dopamine. And that dopamine is the same reward you're supposed to get when you actually execute. So your brain goes, oh, we already did something, we already progressed, let's just relax. But you didn't do anything. You only consumed. Now you're full but empty. And it gets to the point where you're like, but I know so much. There's this book that fascinates me a lot called That Idiot is Richer Than Me. And there's something that our ancient said that I will not forget. It is so important. He said that a lot of smart people, I'm paraphrasing anyways, a lot of smart people, they do not carry out, they do not implement the things that they want to implement because they are too smart and they talk themselves out of that process. They always calculate all the risk, all the this, all the that. But when you see foolish people, not foolish in that sense, but more like if you watch all this Project Fame, I don't know who tells those people that they are good at singing, but they will literally, or you watch America's Got Talent, they will literally come and with so much courage, they will sing nonsense with so much courage. I don't know the family member, I don't know the friend that told them, oh, you're so good at singing, you should go to Project Fame, you should go to America's Got Talent. I don't know. But you will see them because they are not aware of their incapabilities. When people are smart or they think they're smart, they are so aware of their incapabilities. So they talk themselves out of that process. They amplify the risk. That's us coming back to ego, right? Because you're too smart, so you don't want to look stupid, right? You don't want to feel stupid because starting everything, doing everything requires you to be stupid. You think, oh, I've read enough, now I can start. You overanalyze it, overdrag it, because you see, sometimes procrastination doesn't just come from laziness, it comes from overthinking. You think it and think it and think it away. You think, oh, I've read enough, now I can start. There's a part of that thing that would bring out the stupidity in you. So a lot of people do not want to actually go through that phase of actually looking and being stupid. So a lot of smart people are trapped. They don't move, they don't, progress. They just know so much. They feel like when I gather enough knowledge, which is not bad in itself, but the truth is it never actually happens because you now have that paralysis where you feel like, oh, it's not going to work. Another idea again, you overanalyze it, overdrag it, you think it and think it and think it away. There are two types of knowledge. There's head knowledge and there's experiential knowledge. Head knowledge knows what to do. Experiential knowledge knows how it feels to do it very wrongly. Head knowledge criticizes. Experiential knowledge empathizes. Why would you even empathize? Because you've been there. Like you know how it feels. Because you've experienced it. Even the Bible talks about it. It said, now we have a high priest who is touched by the infirmities of the people. Most people today, myself inclusive before, are experts in their head, but not in real life. Like, they're experts in their head. They know the language, they know the theories, they know the frameworks, they know the structure, they know the vernacular, they know everything, but they've never got their hands dirty. Let's talk about something real. A lot of YouTube warriors, myself inclusive, I used to be a YouTube warrior. I am still a YouTube warrior, but now adding implementation, execution. They've watched how to start, how to scale, how to avoid mistakes, how to make it perfectly. They know everything except how to begin. And you know the irony? The irony is that it is harder to start. And this is where paralysis comes in. Because you're thinking, what if I get it wrong? What if I do it wrong? What if I fail? What if it's not good enough? What if people judge me? What if? For me personally, it is scary for me to go back into content, media, and all of that when I know I've left it for years and I probably might be terrible at it. Thank God, I'm not that bad. You're not scared to start because you're ignorant. You're scared to start because you're informed, right? Imagine a child, right? You know them now, like they want to go to electric, they want to go to fire, they want to go to this, they want to go to that. But the moment that fire burns them, you will see that child dreading fire. Why? Because now they are informed. Or you see them love balloons and all of that. The moment a balloon bursts in front of them, that shock, they become scared of balloons. You've seen best examples. You've seen the best version. You've seen end results. So starting feels so embarrassing. So your first attempt feels embarrassing compared to what you know is possible. And that gap between what you can do and what you actually know is what creates that paralysis. Coming from me, is strange, but let me say this. Perfectionism is not excellence. Perfectionism is fear dressed as standard. It says, I can't fail because I know better. But here's the truth. Knowing better does not mean you can do better. Execution is a separate skill, and you don't learn it by watching. You learn it by failing. Have you noticed something? You can watch someone's work and say, oh, I could have done this better. They should have done this instead. The light was off. The storytelling, and you're right. But you have never done it. Criticism is easy when you're not the one in the arena. The moment you start execution, you realize how little you know. And that's not shame. That is necessary. When you finally start, it is very humbling. Your first attempt, your first work might look very ugly. It might look very ugly. Your first attempt might be awkward. Your first execution might really disappoint you. And that's why a lot of people stop, because it breaks the illusion in their head, the castle they have built in their heads. They thought they were ready. They thought they were good. But readiness is not a feeling. It is a process. When you begin to do instead of consume, you begin to gain context, judgment, taste, real confidence. Not confidence from knowing, but confidence from surviving mistakes. Execution exposes your ignorance, but it actually kills fear. Because now fear actually has a shape. It's no longer abstract. From one more video to one very messy attempt. From perfect plan to imperfect action. You don't need more information. You need more friction. For every hour of consumption, there should be an hour of creation. If you watch, create. If you learn, apply. If you save, execute. No exceptions, because growth is not what you consume. It is what you badly execute until you improve. So ask yourself again. So I ask again. No, wait. Let us ask ourselves. Are we productive or are we stalling? Be honest with yourself. And if this video hit you, not attack you, hit you and revealed you, that's a good thing, because self-awareness is the first execution. In the next video, we're going to talk about perfectionism and how to kill it without killing excellence. Until then, stop preparing and start doing. Myself inclusive. Thank you so much for listening to what I have to say. I would love to see what you have to say in the comments, okay? Because this was really personal to me. It is personal to me because, like I said, I've lived here, I've been here, that point where I wake up every single morning with something burning in my heart, but I just do not have, that execution power to carry it out. And it has been an amazing time talking to you. I know. And I am on my way to go and execute one very messy idea that is going to expose how terrible, how good. Because the more I implement, the better I get. So yeah, and I'll see you when you've implemented one very, very messy idea. Ciao, bye, see ya. Okay, if you love this video, please do not forget to subscribe, to like, to share to someone who you know might need this video, okay? And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.